What if I told you that the bacon and eggs you had for breakfast this morning could be making your Parkinson's symptoms worse right now? What if that glass of milk you drink every day thinking it's healthy is actually accelerating the progression of your condition? And what if I told you there are 7 common foods sitting in your kitchen right now that are quietly sabotaging your brain health and making your medications less effective? Today, I'm going to reveal the shocking truth about the foods that every person with Parkinson's needs to eliminate immediately. What you're about to hear might completely change how you think about your daily meals, but it could also be the key to slowing down your symptoms and improving your quality of life. Living with Parkinson's disease means your brain is already fighting an uphill battle. Every day, the cells that produce dopamine in your brain are under attack, and unfortunately, many of the foods we've been told are normal or even healthy are actually making this battle much harder than it needs to be. The truth is, nutrition plays a massive role in how fast Parkinson's progresses and how well your medications work. But here's what most doctors don't have time to tell you during your 15-minute appointments. Certain foods can increase inflammation in your brain, interfere with your medication absorption, and even speed up the death of your precious dopamine-producing cells. Let's start with something that might surprise you. That steak dinner you're planning for tonight, it needs to go. Red meat, including beef, pork, lamb, and especially processed meats like bacon, sausage, hot dogs, and deli meats are some of the worst foods you can eat if you have Parkinson's. Here's why this matters so much. Red meat is loaded with iron, and while iron is essential for your body, too much iron in your brain is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Iron accumulates in the brain regions affected by Parkinson's and generates what we call oxidative stress. Think of oxidative stress like rust forming on metal, except it's happening to your brain cells. A landmark study from Harvard followed over 80,000 people for 24 years and found something alarming. People who ate the most red meat had a 50% higher risk of developing Parkinson's disease. But here's the kicker. If you already have Parkinson's, continuing to eat red meat can accelerate the progression of your symptoms. Processed meats are even worse because they contain nitrates and nitrites, preservatives that can form toxic compounds in your brain. These compounds create inflammation and can actually kill the dopamine-producing cells that Parkinson's is already destroying. Instead of that hamburger or hot dog, try wild-caught salmon, which provides healthy omega-3 fats that actually protect your brain. Or plant-based proteins like lentils and black beans that won't burden your system with excess iron. This might be the most shocking revelation you'll hear today. Whole milk, heavy cream, full-fat cheese, butter, and ice cream aren't just bad for your cholesterol, they're bad for your Parkinson's. A massive study published in the prestigious journal Neurology analyzed data from over 130,000 people and found a disturbing connection. People who consumed the most dairy products had a 17% higher risk of developing Parkinson's. For men, this number jumped to 25%. But why would dairy be harmful? It comes down to something called uric acid. Now, you might think of uric acid as something that causes gout, but here's what most people don't know. Uric acid actually acts as a powerful antioxidant in your brain. It's like a natural shield protecting your neurons from damage. Dairy products lower your uric acid levels. When your uric acid drops, your brain loses this natural protection, making it more vulnerable to the oxidative damage that drives Parkinson's progression. It's like taking off your helmet while riding a motorcycle. Additionally, dairy contains casein, a protein that can trigger inflammation in some people. This inflammation doesn't just stay in your gut, it can travel to your brain and make neuroinflammation worse. If you're used to drinking milk or eating cheese every day, try switching to unsweetened almond milk, oat milk, or coconut milk. These alternatives don't have the same negative effects, and many are fortified with brain-healthy nutrients. That afternoon cookie or piece of cake might taste good going down, but it's doing serious damage to your brain. High-sugar foods, including candy, sodas, pastries, and most processed desserts, create a perfect storm of problems for people with Parkinson's. When you eat sugar, your body produces something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These are exactly what they sound like. They age your cells faster. In your brain, AGs cause inflammation and damage to neurons, particularly the dopamine-producing cells that are already under attack from Parkinson's. But there's more. Sugar also causes insulin resistance, and your brain needs insulin to function properly. When your brain becomes insulin resistant, it's like trying to start your car with a weak battery. Everything runs slower and less efficiently. A study from Columbia University found that people with higher blood sugar levels showed faster cognitive decline and more severe motor symptoms. This means that every time you reach for that sugary snack, you're potentially making your tremors worse, your balance more unstable, and your thinking more cloudy. The artificial sweeteners in diet sodas aren't any better. Aspartame and other synthetic sweeteners can actually be toxic to neurons and may worsen the very symptoms you're trying to manage. Instead of reaching for candy or cookies, try fresh berries like blueberries or strawberries. They contain natural sugars along with powerful antioxidants called anthocyanins that actually protect your brain cells. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have celiac disease, so gluten can't hurt me, right? Wrong. Even if you don't have diagnosed celiac disease, gluten can still be problematic if you have Parkinson's. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and most processed foods. For people with Parkinson's, gluten can increase something called intestinal permeability, also known as leaky gut. When your gut becomes leaky, toxins and inflammatory compounds that should stay in your intestines can enter your bloodstream and eventually reach your brain. Research has shown that people with Parkinson's are more likely to have increased intestinal permeability compared to healthy individuals. This creates a vicious cycle. The leaky gut allows more toxins to reach the brain, which increases inflammation, which can worsen Parkinson's symptoms. A study published in Movement Disorders found that people with celiac disease had a 2.5 times higher risk of developing Parkinson's. This suggests a clear connection between gluten sensitivity and brain health. Even if you don't have full-blown celiac disease, you might have what's called non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which can still trigger inflammation and worsen neurological symptoms. Try eliminating gluten for 30 days and see how you feel. Replace wheat bread with bread made from almond flour or coconut flour, and instead of regular pasta, try pasta made from rice, quinoa, or legumes. Hold on, you might be saying. I've heard that coffee can actually protect against Parkinson's. And you'd be partially right. Some studies have shown that caffeine might have protective effects for people who don't yet have Parkinson's. But if you already have the disease and you're taking medications, the story is completely different. Caffeine can seriously interfere with the absorption of levodopa, the main medication used to treat Parkinson's. When you drink coffee around the same time you take your medication, the caffeine can reduce the effectiveness of your drugs by up to 50%. That means your body isn't getting the full benefit of the medication you're depending on to control your symptoms. But it gets worse. Caffeine can also make tremors more pronounced and increase anxiety, two symptoms that many people with Parkinson's already struggle with. It can also disrupt your sleep, and quality sleep is absolutely crucial for brain repair and recovery. If you absolutely cannot give up caffeine completely, make sure you drink coffee at least 2 hours before or after taking your medication. Better yet, switch to green tea, which has less caffeine and contains L-theanine, an amino acid that can actually help improve brain function and reduce anxiety. Fast food restaurants and processed food manufacturers have created a perfect recipe for brain damage. Hamburgers, French fries, chicken nuggets, frozen dinners, and most packaged snack foods contain a toxic cocktail of trans fats, preservatives, artificial colors, and flavor enhancers that are particularly harmful to people with neurological conditions. Trans fats are especially dangerous because they can cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in brain cells. They increase inflammation throughout your body, including in your brain, and they can actually change the structure of your cell membranes, making them less flexible and less able to function properly. Preservatives like BHA, BHT, and MSG have been shown to be toxic to neurons in laboratory studies. MSG in particular can increase levels of glutamate in the brain, and too much glutamate can literally excite brain cells to death. A large study from Spain that followed over 18,000 people for 10 years found that those who ate the most processed foods had a 62% higher risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases. The solution is simple but not always easy. Cook more meals at home using fresh, whole ingredients. Not only will this ensure the quality of your food, but cooking can also be therapeutic and help maintain cognitive function. Finally, we need to talk about alcohol. While an occasional glass of red wine might provide some benefits due to its resveratrol content, regular alcohol consumption is particularly harmful for people with Parkinson's. Alcohol can worsen balance problems and coordination issues, symptoms that are already challenging for people with Parkinson's. It can also interact dangerously with Parkinson's medications, potentially causing serious side effects or reducing their effectiveness. More importantly, alcohol is a direct neurotoxin. It can damage and kill brain cells, particularly the dopamine-producing neurons that are already under attack from Parkinson's. Every drink is potentially accelerating the progression of your condition. Alcohol also depletes important B vitamins, especially B1 and B6, which are essential for proper nerve function. This depletion can worsen both cognitive and motor symptoms. If you're used to having a drink to relax, try herbal teas like chamomile or passion flower, or sparkling water with fresh fruit for a festive feel without the brain-damaging effects. To understand why these foods are so harmful, you need to understand what's happening in your brain when you have Parkinson's. The disease occurs when dopamine-producing neurons in a part of your brain called the substantia nigra begin to die off. Dopamine is crucial for controlling movement, and as these cells die, you experience the tremors, stiffness, and other motor symptoms of Parkinson's. Three main factors contribute to this cell death: oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, and the accumulation of toxic proteins. Every single food I've mentioned today makes at least one of these factors worse, and many of them make all three worse. Oxidative stress happens when there are too many free radicals in your body and not enough antioxidants to neutralize them. Free radicals are like bullets firing at your cells, causing damage and death. Red meat, sugar, and processed foods all create more free radicals. Chronic inflammation occurs when your immune system stays in a constant state of alert, producing inflammatory chemicals that can damage brain tissue. Gluten, sugar, and alcohol can all trigger this inflammatory response. The accumulation of toxic proteins happens when abnormal proteins clump together in brain cells, interfering with their normal function. Poor diet can worsen this process by reducing the body's ability to clear these toxic proteins. Instead of focusing only on what you can't eat, let's talk about the foods that can actually help protect and even improve your brain function. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA, which is essential for brain health. DHA not only helps protect existing neurons, but may also stimulate the growth of new brain cells. Berries, especially blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries, are packed with anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that can protect brain cells from damage. Studies show that people who eat berries regularly have slower rates of cognitive decline. Dark leafy greens like spinach, kale, and collard greens contain folate, vitamin K, and lutein, all important for brain health. Research shows that people who eat more leafy greens have slower rates of cognitive decline. Nuts like almonds, walnuts, and Brazil nuts provide vitamin E, magnesium, and healthy fats. Vitamin E is particularly important because it can help protect the brain from oxidative stress. Turmeric contains curcumin, a compound with powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Some studies suggest that curcumin may help protect dopamine neurons and reduce brain inflammation. Changing your diet can feel overwhelming, especially when you're already dealing with a chronic condition like Parkinson's. Here are some practical tips to make the transition easier and more sustainable. First, don't try to change everything at once. Pick one harmful food to eliminate each week. Week 1 might be processed meats, week 2 might be reducing sugar, and so on. This gradual approach allows your body to adjust and prevents you from feeling deprived. Second, prepare ahead. Spend some time each weekend planning your meals and preparing healthy snacks. When you're tired or having an off day, having healthy food ready to go will prevent you from making poor choices. Third, focus on addition rather than subtraction. Instead of thinking, I can't eat this, think, I'm going to eat more of that. Fill your plate with healthy foods and there will naturally be less room for the harmful ones. Fourth, get your family involved. Having support makes any lifestyle change easier. Explain to your loved ones why these changes are important and ask for their help in making healthy meals and avoiding tempting foods. These changes can have profound and sometimes rapid effects on how you feel and function. Many of my patients report feeling less fatigued, having more energy, and sleeping better within just a few weeks of changing their diet. Some people even notice improvements in their motor symptoms. While diet can't replace medication, it can help optimize the effectiveness of your treatments and may slow the progression of the disease. Perhaps most importantly, having a healthy diet can help you feel more in control of your condition. In a disease where so much feels unpredictable, knowing that you're doing something positive every day can provide a tremendous sense of empowerment. One crucial point that many people don't realize is how significantly diet can affect medication absorption and effectiveness. Protein, for example, can compete with levodopa for absorption in your small intestine. This doesn't mean you should avoid protein entirely, but it does mean you need to be strategic about timing. Many neurologists recommend taking levodopa on an empty stomach and waiting at least 30 minutes before eating, especially if you're having a protein-rich meal. Some people find it helpful to eat their main protein intake at dinner and take their daytime medications with lighter, lower protein meals. Iron supplements and foods high in iron can also interfere with levodopa absorption. If you need iron supplementation, take it several hours away from your Parkinson's medications. The information I've shared today isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to empower you. Knowledge is power, and now you have the knowledge to make better choices for your brain health. Remember that every small change matters. Each meal is an opportunity to nourish and protect your brain. Every time you choose berries instead of candy, salmon instead of processed meat, or herbal tea instead of alcohol, you're investing in your future. I encourage you to start by eliminating just one harmful food from today's list this week. Whether it's processed meats, sugary snacks, or fast food, commit to avoiding it for at least 1 week and pay attention to how you feel. Keep a simple food and symptom diary. Write down what you eat and how your symptoms are that day. Over time, you may start to see patterns that can help you identify which foods make you feel better or worse. Most importantly, be patient with yourself. Changing lifelong eating habits takes time, and there will be setbacks. That's normal and expected. What matters is getting back on track and continuing to make progress. Remember, you're not facing Parkinson's alone. There's an entire community of healthcare providers, researchers, and fellow patients ready to support you. Don't hesitate to reach out for help when you need it. Parkinson's may be part of your life, but it doesn't define who you are. With smart choices about nutrition and lifestyle, you can continue to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. Your brain has an amazing capacity for adaptation and healing, and the foods you choose can either support or hinder this process. The choice is yours, and it starts with your very next meal. Choose wisely, choose health, choose hope.